I had a hunch that something was wrong, and I turned out to be right. Lomachenko, quote unquote, not in the mood to fight right now. And I understand that, but I think a lot of us see it kind of as a duck. Is that fair to say? Maybe he has a lot of problems, and I don't want to be out of pocket and be, disrespectful about whatever's going on in Ukraine. I know it's a tough time in the political world right now, but yeah, that's the fight we still wanted to see Lomachenko win, but I also understand him not wanting to take it. I think it was a good business move for his career because maybe it taints his legacy. He's probably not beating Gervonta Tank Davis if they were to fight, so I get it. I get that business move, and he's saying that he's not in the mood to fight, period. So Shakur probably won't get that Lomachenko fight either, but that would be interesting if Lomachenko kind of switched up and said, I'm not willing to fight Tank, but I'll fight Shakur. That would be crazy. But with Shakur Stevenson being a free agent right now, it still complicates things even further because everybody on boxing Twitter is saying, okay, that means then the Shakur fight should be on the table now, right? No, because we don't know what's going to happen with Shakur Stevenson. We don't know when he signs with somebody, when's he going to fight? Are we just going to get into negotiations? Are we going to get a fight, right off the bat? How long is it going to take? There's a lot of unknowns to still be answered for Shakur Stevenson. He has to make a very big decision. Maybe by now he's already made it, but at this time I'm making the video, no decision so far. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he makes the right choice where he could get a fight with a guy like Tank Davis, literally Tank Davis. I don't even, at this point, after hearing everything Lomachenko said, after the Devin Haney fight, saying that he only fought Kambosos for his father, not even for himself, that tells me, he's got one foot out the door already. People weren't really going to give Tank credit for that Lomachenko win, even though I would have. A lot of people, would have came with the excuses and said stuff like, it's on Lomachenko's retirement and the back end of his career is when Gervonta Davis decides to fight him, and there's truth to that. There's a level of truth to that, but I still would have given him respect for still beating a guy like Lomachenko coming off a stoppage title win against George Kambosos. Obviously Kambosos is nowhere near a guy like Tank or a guy like Shakur Stevenson, but still looked good, got the stoppage win, and against a guy like Tank, who knows what have happened. I'm not saying that Lomachenko would have won. I favor Tank heavily in that fight. I understand that Lomachenko's not taking this fight because honestly, at this point in his career and taking into account the way Lomachenko fights, especially against counterpunchers or pressure fighter, if Tank wants to be that pressure fighter that he was against Frank Martin, I think that Lomachenko's come forward style is tailor-made for a Tank victory at this point, especially at this point in Lomachenko's career. Years ago, I maybe would have sided with Lomachenko, but now it's a different fight where, like I always say, when it comes to these passing of the torch kind of fights, one fighter is going to be worse off because one fighter had aged already and one fighter is in their prime. And if it's the other way around, one fighter is too green and the other fighter has too much experience. So with these kinds of fights, there's never really a lot of balance when it comes to these passing of the torch fights. So I'm honestly not that mad. I won't be that mad if we get, Shakur Stevenson and Tank next. That's the fight. Like all of you guys, I'm with you all that I think we need to see that fight now, but with realistically thinking about how Shakur Stevenson doesn't have a home yet when it comes to a network, when it comes to a promoter, it's definitely not Oscar De La Hoya. He's ruled out. So it comes down to Eddie, Floyd, Al Heyman, and then re-signing with Top Rank. A lot of people are even saying re-signing with Top Rank could be the right decision. I wouldn't say that because even Tank's trainer, Kenny Ellis, they were talking on a live, and on the live stream, Shakur Stevenson was talking about the potential of a Gervonta Davis fight and, what he's going to do, thinking about the process of signing with other promoters, this and that, the negotiations, all his meetings. And, Tank's coach was saying that he better not sign with Top Rank because Bob Arum's going to be smart and not put him in the big fights. And, that's just the way Bob Arum operates. You look at all the big fighters that have ever been with Top Rank. You look at Floyd, you look at Manny, you look at Oscar De La Hoya, you look at Terrence Bud Crawford. These guys all eventually left and then ended up making more money. That's when they made a lot of their big fights. Not every single big fight was done without Top Rank. Obviously, Top Rank deserves a lot of credit no matter what. I think as good as Shakur Stevenson is, I still, have so much respect for Top Rank as well because they've built legends. They're a very reputable promotion, and all the history that's gone down. It's a legendary promotion company. So shout out to Top Rank, but I also understand where Shakur Stevenson's coming from, in his fight against Artem Harnatunian. Them showing, ESPN showing people walking out of the arena where, I'm sure that happens in a lot of other fights with big fighters, but maybe Shakur Stevenson just had that performance where people felt like they had seen enough and they were going to go beat the traffic, stuff like that. But, nonetheless, I still think that this fight between Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson is essential for the sport of boxing. Every weight class has a fight that needs to happen. Like Spence and Crawford, that fight happened, and Canelo Benavidez, that fight hasn't happened. But this is another one. Shakur and Tank is one that has to go down. I think now's the time. They're the only two guys that we want to see fight at 35. I don't really care to see I don't care to see Zepeda in there with Shakur. Shakur's been talking about that fight. I just don't think it happens. I don't think Oscar wants Shakur fighting his fighter Zepeda. I don't think Zepeda beats Shakur. As good as he is, I think his style is tailor-made for Shakur Stevenson. So with that being said, there's not really anybody at 35 that gives Tank a hard time, in my opinion, besides Shakur Stevenson. I think he's the lone wolf that could potentially pull it off. I think it's going to be really tough for him. Like I've said in my previous videos, and I'm sticking by it, I'm leaning towards a Tank knockout because of the fact that Shakur's going to have to fight. I think against Tank, as good as he is, it's not only about, playing tag and making sure you don't get caught with something. It's also you have to do your part offensively. I'm just curious to see if Shakur is going to be as busy as he needs to be and as active as he needs to be, not only with the jab, but, with the combination punches. The lack thereof from the Artem Harnatunian fight showed me that it could be a problem. Artem Harnatunian is not Gervonta Tank Davis. That's just that's not me trying to be like, oh, I'm a Tank fanboy. It's just like little things you notice when they're in the pocket. It's going to be so dangerous for Shakur Stevenson to land. And Roy Jones, he put out a great point, that I agree with. I've always kind of thought about how Shakur is so good at evading shots, but it's so extreme. His defense is so extreme that it puts him in a difficult position to actually counter, actually land shots of his own. That's where I see a lot of problems coming for a guy like Shakur Stevenson against Tank, because, the power is going to be there. He's going to be not extra afraid, but extra cautious. Against Artem, he was cautious, said Artem could crack. So that's one thing. But you have a guy like Tank who's way better than Artem when it comes to talent, and he's gifted with the power as well. So this is a really tough fight for Shakur Stevenson, and more importantly, a dangerous fight. I think that's, really what's going to affect Shakur Stevenson up here. We're going to see how mentally tough Shakur is. When it came to fighting guys like Jamel Herring, came to fighting guys like Oscar Valdez, Shakur was very, consistent and really zeroed in on breaking a guy mentally. And I think against Tank, it's going to be the opposite. His will is going to be tested, and he's going to be forced to fight, and he might have to play a game that he's not accustomed to playing. I think that's what a lot of people think about. They only think about how Tank's not going to be able to touch him. Shakur's going to have to do things to win the fight too. It's not just not getting touched. It's also landing shots of your own, and he's going to have a decent amount of output, because Tank can be a very active fighter when he wants to. If we see something, if Tank's performance against Frank Martin is the baseline of what he maybe intends to do to Shakur, and doesn't want to give up early rounds. Like everybody's saying, you can't give up early rounds if you're Tank against Shakur. And I think that Tank's not going to do that. I think Tank has a tailor-made plan for every single opponent that he has. And for Shakur, I think, in my opinion at least, we're going to see a chess match in maybe the first 2 rounds, but I still think Tank's going to be a little bit more busier than he's been in a lot of his fights. A little... I'm not going to say less patient, but he's going to get to it a little faster, and I think that's why it's an entertaining fight, in my opinion. I don't think this is going to be a boring fight. I think we're going to see, a dangerous position for Shakur Stevenson, but still, a tough night in the office for Tank Davis, because he's a hard guy to land on clean, and if he's not able to land effective shots on him, he's going to have to pick up the pace. Both guys may have to, have a higher output on both ends. To be honest, Tank can't just focus on landing one big shot, and Shakur can't just focus on the defense. So it'll be exciting. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Lomachenko not being in the mood to fight Tank Davis, and maybe not even, you know, fighting this year. He's looking more so at next year. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.
That's going to do it for another NASFight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.